Oh, here we are having way too much fun. Before we say welcome back to A Mighty Blaze, and it is John Kenney Day here on A Mighty Blaze, and Love Poems for Anxious People is out. Every time I say that, John's going to show the book. Love Poems for Anxious People. John, I have been looking forward. I'm like, when is that book coming out? Because I just actually want to connect anytime I want to smile and be filled with happy thoughts. And even if they're anxious, happy thoughts, if John Kenney is part of the day, is a good day. Let me give you an intro, shall we? John Kenney. Yeah, because you know, you have people and you need an intro. John Kenney is the New York Times bestselling author of the humorous poetry collections, Love Poems for Married People, Love Poems for People with Children, and the novels Talk to Me and Truth in Advertising, which won the Thurber Prize for American Humor. He has worked for many years as a copywriter. He has also been a contributor to the New Yorker magazine since 1999. He lives in Brooklyn. His latest collection, Love Poems for Anxious People, is just out. You should buy multiple copies. You should give them to everyone you know, and you actually need to yourself. Welcome to A Mighty Blaze, John Kenney.
Robin, thank you for having me. It's always nice to see your lovely face.
Oh, right back at you. And your Instagram with your children, hilarious. So you got to go to John's Instagram because you can't go to his website. He doesn't have one. I don't think you can find him. You find him on Instagram at John Kenney Writer, and you've got your kids sitting there. They were adorably hilarious. So how did that, was that just like a one take and they're just great?
It's funny. The first one we did was one take. My editor, Sally Kim and Ashley Hewlett and the lovely people at Penguin, Putnam, said, you know, maybe you should, since you're not doing anything with your day, besides drinking at noon, maybe do some videos. And so I wrote a little something, and the kid said, "Can we be in it?"
Aww.
And I said no, because I'm a terrible father. And they said, "We'll just sit next to you. We won't say anything." And they just started. I didn't realize they were making all these faces. Wife behind the thing, and we put it up, and then I saw it for the first time, and I was like. And so people said, keep doing those because we like your kids. And I was like, what about the poems? And they're like, we like your kids.
Yeah, yay. Kids you're adorable. He's going like this. I mean.
Yeah, they're not my kids. I rent them. I bring them in.
They work well. So you're saying they're available, but not.
They are available. They are SAG. So.
Hey, you know, you got to put that out there right away. And how old are those children that are pretending to be yours? Now,
Lulu is 11, going on 27. She's named after my mom. She can do anything. She's baking and cooking and drawing and painting and like learning Spanish. And then there's my 7-year-old son, Hewitt, who likes to sit in his bed, in his pajamas, and watch SpongeBob. Hugh, we should go out today. Dad, I think I might just relax in my bed today. Like he's an old man.
I love it. And he's so right. He's all prepared for those days in Florida if we're ever allowed to leave our homes. Exactly. So which kid is more like you, or which part is more like, you know, your wife? Or are you a pajama sitting guy, or are you more the baker, Spanish learning extrovert?
I have so few good traits that fortunately both kids look identical to my wife. They have her sort of energy and passion and kindness. And so I'm very lucky that way. How do they take after me? I don't think they do, thank God. So they've shown no Kenney traits yet.
Yeah, well, you know, they can always.
Well, they're unemployed, so. Yeah.
You guys have to know, and welcome, you know, again, I'm thrilled to be here on A Mighty Blaze on John's Pub Day, and that this, and it's Poetry Month. I mean, I guess.
National Poetry Month, that's right.
National Poetry Month, but John and I have a history of hosting events together, and you're just like, I mean, I've been hosting events for 18 years, and do the math on how many authors, and you're like in my top 4.
I thought you were going to say 400. I swear to God, I thought you were going to say like my top 400. Wow, thank
If
God.
I were thinking faster, and I should be, I've only been up to
Top four.
3:30.
I'll take it.
No, top four. And we always think of like best friends and favorites as like a tier. So it can switch. You could be number one, you could be four, but like, I don't think you'd ever be number five. I mean, your writing is so sharp, so relatable, so funny, and so full of heart. From the novels, we hosted John at our Cardigan Connection series a year plus ago, and John and I were just talking. We hosted last fall at Evening with Authors on the Reading with Robin side of things, and that will go down as one of my favorite events ever.
That was really fun. And I have to say to your listeners, this book, Love Poems for Anxious People, we had written the previous two, and people seemed to like them, except for my relatives. And you and I went out to breakfast the next morning.
We did.
And I was throwing around ideas, and what I love about you is you're like completely honest, and you were like, oh, the anxious thing is interesting because everyone's anxious. And I credit you with giving me the sort of green light for that. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I was hesitant. I was like, I don't want to make fun of people because anxiety can be a serious thing. But
Sure.
Who among us, well, I mean, now we're living in a different time, but back in December and January. So you gave me sort of the confidence to do it.
I am so honored to be a part of that. See, John, I knew the pandemic was coming. So when we were sitting at breakfast and you were having that dry toast, I thought,
Yes.
I see this happening. I'll make sure I have enough toilet paper and stuff. And I think John needs to write about anxiety.
That's right. I had dry white toast and tea. I think if I were a breakfast, I would be that, the blandest breakfast.
It was perfect, though. It was just the perfect morning. And you had a lot of great ideas, and I would encourage many more of them because I love your poems, and John is going to share a few.
Yes.
If you can't, I would love for you to read all of them, obviously, but everybody must. This is the perfect book for yourself. It is the perfect gift book, and really, because you can't be visiting with friends and family, and we're all sort of at home. Make someone's day. Go online, go to bookshop.org or wherever you buy books, your favorite independent bookstore. Books are magic. All of our favorites, because that's one of my favorites, and send a gift. They'll write a little note. They'll say, dear whomever, John knows you're going to love this. They'll write whatever you want, and you're going to make someone's day. Actually, buy all three, and you have a collection. But I've read each poem many times because I have the Word document, thank you. And I'm like, I got to reread that. Like, they're short, but like there's so much in them. So, and
You're very kind, Robin.
Well, and I am very honest. You're welcome. But I am also, John's quite right. I'm sometimes to a fault, a little honest, but I don't know. Where before you read, where did the idea to do love poems for married people? That was the first collection.
Yeah. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I wrote a piece for the New Yorker, a Shouts and Murmurs piece called Valentine's Day Poems for Married People. And that seemed to people seemed to like that. And I was at a cocktail reception last year, 18 months ago at my publisher. And one of the people there suggested we turn it into a book. I thought they were joking because the New Yorker piece was 6 or 7 little poems. And my editor said, why don't you try to write that? And 2 months in, I was like, I don't have a single thought. And so we did that, and that seemed to do okay. And then it seemed a natural thing to do love poems for people with children. This is the third. So we're kind of, we're excited about that. We've got one more, comes out in the fall. It's called Love Poems for the Office, which is kind of weird considering anxiety is the new sort of universal truth and offices no longer exist.
Right, but maybe that we'll be back in the office one day.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't matter to me, because financially, as a freelance poet, I'm set for life, right? I mean,
I'm so thankful, John.
Right? Because you can make so much as a poet. I mean, Mary Oliver famously said, I went into this to make money.
Well, you have to have a plan, right? And if it's
you have to have a plan, and no one plans better than I do.
I know that is another one of your gifts, and
Yes.
we plan to read. I asked for two. I had such a hard time deciding which ones, but I would never just go like read which one you think I'm going to be in the mood for now. But I'm so excited that Love Poems for the Office, is it For the Office? Is that, did I get the title wrong?
I should know the answer to that.
Okay, that's
Love
okay.
Poems. I think it's Love Poems for the Office. It comes out in October, maybe.
That is so cool. All right, I'm already building an event in my head,
Yes.
however it's going to look, but
Yeah, I have exactly no poems written for that. It's due soon.
I
So,
love it. I love them
yes.
already.
So should I read one or two?
Yes, I would. You can read whichever ones you would
There's
like.
Love Poems for Anxious People by me, I guess. It's out today. Buy one.
Buy more than one. You can't just
more than one.
Collect them all.
No. Yeah. As my son, when he first saw Talk to Me, which came out about a year and a half ago, a novel, I had a stack of them because Putnam had sent me a bunch, and he said, "Dad, I can't believe you wrote that many books." And I said, "Buddy, but all the books are the same though. It's all the same words in each book." And he was like, "Oh, well, that isn't that hard."
Oh my God, that is so adorable.
This poem is called, and I use the word poem loosely, Robin. This poem is called "Here Comes Someone Whose Name I Should Know." We have met so many times, you and yet I have no idea what your name is, as I stand frozen, inane grin on my face. Do you have a name? Here you come, smiling, calling my name, as well as the names of my wife, children, and dog, Fortinbras, which I kind of can't believe you remember. My God, you're almost here, and I will need to introduce you to the person next to me, whose name may be Beth or Valentina, I'm not sure. Here's a quick thought, not about your name, but about the urge I have right now to just start running, though that would be a weird thing to do at a children's birthday party, but not as weird as what I do, which is stuff 2 cupcakes into my mouth so as not to be able to speak, but almost immediately choke, spewing frosting on your face. Oh my God, Alan, Beth or Valentina shouts. Alan, your name is Alan, which I will now never forget.
I love the cupcakes too. Now I want a cupcake. Because those are the things in Love Poems for Anxious People. There are so many things that readers will connect with. And that thought of like, oh my God, what's their name? Is so universal, and
yeah, I mean, I think we have this, we sort of say that it's almost like we're embarrassed about our anxiety. And I think anxiety is part of the human condition, right? I think anxiety is something we've had since we sort of ran away from large animals. I think it's not a terrible thing to be anxious. It's how you can manage it, right?
It's all about managing.
Right.
Something about drinking at noon. Yeah, there's all
drinking at noon. I use the epigraph in the book from the French essayist Michel de Montaigne. I love this line. He says, "My life has been full of terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened."
Very true.
So it's those voices in your head that lie to you, right?
And sometimes when you just sort of out with it and honest, like, wow, I really forgot your name, or maybe not that one, because some things are just really easy to just like put it back on yourself,
Yeah.
I always think of the scene in Devil Wears Prada where Meryl Streep needs to know, the name, and her assistant doesn't know it, but Annie, is it Annie?
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, right? Oh, she doesn't play Annie, right? So she but there's that frozen moment, and I know for other events we do, people know who you are if you are the one hosting, and so I really connected to that because people's names are so important, and people are so important.
They are.
But
they are.
Some names are just so forgettable.
Yeah, I mean, my wife remembers everything about everyone she's ever met, and I'm just sort of more of a, hey, you, how are you? I mean, I the famous story in my family is I was at a family wedding, and I hadn't sort of kept up on family news. And I went up to an aunt of mine and I said, "How are you?" Big hug. And I said, "How's Everett, her husband?" And she said, "He died 2 years ago."
Oh,
I was
John.
like, "Oh, I think they're taking pictures. I have to go over there. Maybe you could meet someone here." Didn't go well. Yeah. So
I should,
perhaps I'll read sort of one more in the sort of theme about the
yeah.
terrible voice in our heads. And this is a series in the book. There's 4 of them. It's called "In Conversation with Myself," and then parentheses
2:49. Is that 2:49?
2:49 a.m.
The reason I chose that is when I was up this morning, weirdly.
Yeah, I can set my life by that time. It's just sort of that kind of
Right?
money, don't have any, life, death. So this is "In Conversation with Myself," 2:49 a.m. "I'd like to go back to sleep now." Sorry, I should say that this is a tricky one to read because every other line, one line is yourself, the second line, and I'll read it in a high-pitched, annoying voice, is your sort of id. Is
Well,
it id? I guess it's your id.
Sure. That's why I chose it. I didn't want to make it too easy, like your son said. I mean,
No, this is great. Maybe you could make me read in French next time. "I'd like to go back to sleep now." "Oh, I don't think quite yet. We have things to talk about." "I don't want to talk. I want to sleep." "Or we could play a fun game." Or sleep. "Nope, a fun game." "What's the game?" "It's called Your Life is a Complete Failure." "That's not a fun game." "It is for me." "But aren't you me?" "Yes and no." "And can I control you?" "Good luck with that." "Let's review your 20s. "Please don't." "You poured a pitcher of beer on your head at a happy hour with your boss present." "Oh, Christ." "Then you," "Nope. Come on, I love this one. You said, 'Look at the rack on that waitress.'" "I didn't know she was his wife." "What about the time in a meeting you thought Arkansas ended with the letter W?" "You suck." "And wrote it on a whiteboard in a staff meeting and everyone laughed at you." "I'm going to sleep." "Fine. Good night." "Really?" "Sure. Sleep well." "Oh, okay." "Lyme disease." "What?" "Nothing."
This is just what I needed today. And it's out today. It's a
Out
love
today.
Poems for Anxious People. Find John on Instagram and watch the video with his kids and do yourself such a treat. I mean, it's the perfect book. Like, you can pick it up, you can put it down, you can pick it back up. And the thing about this book to me is, firstly, the way it begins with the dedication and then your ranting, inner monologue. It's the kind of book, and I've never said this about a book before, what reminds me of is when you see a movie that you love and you know there's going to be good stuff at the end and you don't want to miss the outtakes or something, like you just don't want to miss any of this. And
You're very kind, Robin. I do love, you can pick it up, you can put it down.
yes, you don't have to.
That's a fantastic quote.
Right?
Many people have said of my writing, I couldn't pick it up.
I couldn't put it down.
So that could be that could be on my tombstone. I couldn't pick it up. So listen, first, thank you for having me on. It means a ton to me, and thank you for what you do for writers and every day. So many wonderful, amazing people. I know you have Sue Monk Kidd coming up, a rock star, but it means the world to me to be on. And so thank you so much, and stay safe these next couple of whatever.
Are you hanging up on me?
I'm not hanging up, never.
Okay.
But I know Sue's coming up.
Is it over? I don't want to let you
No.
No, Sue's good. I'm watching the time.
Oh, okay.
Because this is just I was like, but that was really beautiful and really truly is, and I've said it before, of all these years of doing this, now it feels even more meaningful to be able to share more books. You know, I don't even get to read them all. Thank goodness yours were poems, and they were easy to pick up and put down, and such a fan. So I've been like, oh my God, April 21st, Love Poems for Anxious People is out. And you know, really to your point earlier, not making light of any of this, but like to have a book like this come out now is kind of perfect. And also, the more we talk about these things, the less terrifying.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really a good idea to not, and like you, not to get too heavy, but man, you have to face this stuff head on, and you have to be able to laugh at it, right? I'm a big fan of, there's nothing taboo to me. You have to be able to laugh at it, because, the news is so relentlessly terrible.
Mhm.
And I grew up in Boston, but moved to New York for what I thought was going to be 2 years. It'll be 25 years this September. So I was there during 9/11. My family and I, because we have kids, we came up here to Cape Cod, but I love New York. I love the resilience of New Yorkers. I love the sort of Black sense of humor. And, what's happened there has been really brutal. And the ability to sort of find something to smile about in the face of this, I think it really matters. So.
It does. I mean, that's what really keeps me going. And, I just keep doing this,
Yeah.
and I have to really remind myself. So it's those things that really make me smile and take me out of that for a while.
Yeah.
And if Love Poems for Anxious People doesn't do it for you, then we got nothing to talk about other people.
Just a quick story before we go, but my wife and I were having this intense conversation the other night, and do we stay on the Cape? Where do we go? What do we, money and jobs and eating cat food the rest of our lives? And my son marches down sort of half naked, and he had some kind of package of something. I don't know whether it was goldfish or something, and it's upside down, empty, and he just looks at us and says, and walks away. And it was perfect. It was perfect.
And those are the moments, right? And you have that sense of appreciation, because we talked about this when you were at the event, and having children and what they do and the way they express themselves, and really appreciating that. So was he like,
yeah, just like, can you believe this tragedy?
None of this.
Like, come on.
Right, man. Oh, John.
There's the wonderful English writer Alain de Botton. He has the School of Life. Any of your listeners interested in that, schooloflife.org. He's a wonderful writer. And, he had a piece on the op-ed page of the Times a few weeks ago. And it was a really interesting take on what's going on, because he always goes back to sort of the ancient philosophers. And what he basically said was, all of life is unpredictable. We love the idea of control. We'll buy life insurance. We'll make dinner plans, make vacation plans. We're going to paint the house in the spring, right? And so we have a semblance of future and control. And what he was arguing, and I'm not doing nearly the eloquent job he did, but what he was basically saying is we never do. And so the great takeaway from that is the gift is now.
Right.
Is this is it. We're at home. We're with the most important people in our lives, our husbands and wives, our children, our pets. We have the ability to do this, which is hugely important, but everything we need is at home. And yes, there's some scary stuff going on, but if we can just hold the dam a bit and realize this is it.
This is it. And it might be an empty upside down goldfish thing, but even there. And
or an empty wine bottle, Robin.
That does keep happening.
Which is tragedy.
I love that you mentioned that, because right, we have to plan, we live in hope, but really I think a lot of discussion has been down to the essential of what's important.
Yeah.
And we are awfully lucky to be able to communicate and do all of this. The first thing I thought of initially, like 6 weeks ago, was please just leave the lights on and the internet going. Just please.
No kidding, right?
To communicate and have some sense of it, but you really do sort of get down to what's important, and it is now, right?
Yeah, it's being with family and friends. It's we have all of our meals together now. Like after I get off this, we're going to sit down, the four of us, and have lunch, and
So
and
nice.
then it's planning for dinner, and
Yeah, we live for the meals. So they're waiting for you. And Sumon Kid's waiting, and you've got lunch. I want to hear what's for lunch later. I'll send you a message. John, this was such a treat. You have absolutely made my day/week, and you're still in the top 4.
Thank you. I'm glad I haven't slept after the call. Robin, thank you as always. Thank you for everything you do.
My pleasure. And thanks for putting us in the acknowledgments. I just noticed that. I hadn't seen that.
Of course.
That was so sweet. Thank you. We gotta go. Say hi to
All
your
right.
family.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.